regarding the attorney's firm. And in terms of the outcome, criminal referrals, there's a possible referrals of evidence relating to the facilitation of corrupt payments to the NPA, and civil recovery, possible referrals to special tribunal for recovery of irregular RFQ amounts, and administrative action, referrals of Section 173 of Companies Act is to be made, and disciplinary action cannot be made because all officials left. And focus area number 15, working capital optimization contract. Here the investigation is ongoing. The value of contracts is 22 million. Bids was submitted late and should have not been considered by SAT. The same bidder was also privy to information not shared with other bidders, and high value stock items were reported to be absolute and sold at a reduced or minimum value. The team is considering the allegation that SAT bought the same item at exorbitant price. And another contract that is mentioned there for the design of the organizational structure and the alignment of management capability is still under consideration. Then in terms of the outcome, the criminal referrals against the former employee of SAT was made on April 2023, and SIU is facilitating the reinvestment of 14 million contract to SAA in terms of civil recovery, and disciplinary action could not be made because official left. And focus area number 3, we are looking at catering services. Then on 14 August 2015, after a competitive tender process, a tender for the provision of catering services at the OR Tambo International Airport lounge was awarded to the value of 85 million for a period of 3 years. When the board was advised on the award and the impact it will have on one SAA subsidiary who had been servicing the lounge, the chairperson of the board instructed that the appointment be cancelled on the 3rd of September 2015 and the service provider be reinstated, reinstituted with the subsidiary. And on 9 October 2015, a board resolution was taken in which the award was cancelled and the service awarded to a subsidiary company without going through a tender processes. This one, the investigation is still ongoing, and criminal referrals is still under consideration together with the civil recovery, where we still quantify and investigating to see where the liability lies. And disciplinary here also could not be made because the members left. In terms of focus area number 17, which is the provision of legal services, here the investigation is still ongoing. The findings that implicate other investigation of SAA staff and board members who were paid through the firm businesses and trust account, and this payment seems to have been corruptive payments which flow from some of the tender awarded to the entities. Flow of funds has indicated a possible of 71 million that was facilitated through an attorney's bank account, and we're still waiting for a number of bank statements so that we can able to finalize the quantification and look at the flow of funds. And in terms of criminal referrals, there's a possible referrals of evidence relating to the facilitation of corrupt payment to NPA against the firm, its director, and other individual. And there's also a possible civil recovery to be instituted against the company and individual, and value is still to be determined. In administrative action, one former board member where membership was withdrawn and fine imposed, and there's also SIU is also considering the LPC referrals and the CIPC referrals against the company directors so that they can be blacklisted. And disciplinary action could not be taken because members left. Then in terms of focus area number 18, we are looking at maladministration. After finalizing the key focus area of the investigation, the SIU will conduct maladministration and governance review in order to identify the following: the cause of the failure of governance structure at the SAA, the individual responsible for the failures, how the failures contributed to the position of SAA today, and accountability of responsible official, and make systemic recommendation on identified governance issues. Then, over and above that, we went through the Zondo Commission, where we look at the report to identify some of the members, the matters which relates to SAA. Then the SIU has considered the state capture report relating to the SAA, and it is implementing its recommendation and working in collaboration with other law enforcement agencies. The following matters are under the investigation, and in terms of the report, the SIU is investigating the following. There is 10 matters which are covered by the proclamation are under investigation. Then these 10 matters are mentioned in the Zondo Commission report, and 4 matters of those 10 are finalized. The investigation is finalized. Then in terms of the outcome of the finalized matters, we have referred 2 NPA referrals and 2 disciplinary referrals, and 8 matters are currently being reviewed for civil litigation. That is to be referred for civil litigation, and the value of those matters or contract amount to 2.3 billion. Then the next slide is a summary of all the outcomes that we have mentioned. We can see there the rent value of potential cash or assets to be recovered is 3.4 billion, and rent value of actual cash or assets recovered is 14 million, and rent value of contract or administrative decision set aside or deemed invalid, 1 notice of motion to be filed in the special tribunal, and 3 others are already in progress. Rent value of potential loss prevented is 130 million. Number of referrals made for disciplinary action against official or entities is 3. It's low because most of the officials have left the employment of SAA. Number of referrals made for administrative action, this one is still ongoing. A number of referrals made to the relevant prosecuting authority to date is 6. Number of investigation closed under the published proclamation is 3. Rent value of matters in respect of which evidence was referred for the institution or defense or opposition of civil proceeding is 1. We are currently busy with the interim presidential report so that we can outline all the outcome. Then in terms of the observation, due to state capture, some members of the accounting authority, including the ex-officio member, fail in their fiduciary duties to properly manage the financial affair of the institution, and the SIU found that some of the board members benefited from the corrupt payments facilitated by at least 2 legal firms. These payments are linked to a number of tenders awarded by SAA or SAT. And all this contributed to the collapse of government within the SAA. Then from here, I will hand over to Advocate Mutibi to deal with the new allegation that we have received. Thank you.
No, thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. Just to restate that, as the Honorable Members can see, that there's really quite a number of investigations done and a number of findings returned. So as we move forward now, we really want to ensure that there's consequence management. All those who have been pointed to by the evidence, action is taken against them, including some of the former board members whose names we do have, and of course we'll make them available at an appropriate time. Honorable Members, I would like to indicate that with regard to civil litigation, which is really the process which we really want to ensure that we follow and pursue to recover, we have had a challenge. And if I say we, I say SIU, including the special tribunal itself, some of those whom we take action against have challenged the jurisdiction of the special tribunal. So they've went up to the Supreme Court of Appeal, where we defended and they failed. They went up to the Constitutional Court, and we are pleased that the Constitutional Court now has ruled in favor of saying the Special Tribunal has the jurisdiction to determine the legality of all these processes that we're looking at. So that challenge may have had an impact of slowing down some of the matters at the Special Tribunal, but since this judgment, we'll now see most of these processes now unfolding and unfolding quickly for recovery purposes.